Welcome back to another video. This week we are looking at Normcore Wares accessories. This has been a highly requested video. I think a lot of people are seeing this name floating around. They're doing a lot of marketing. And anytime an accessories company makes 54mm accessories, it immediately catches a lot of people's attention. So the company reached out to me. I said, send me what you've got. And if you follow me over on Instagram, you'll know that I've been testing them out quite thoroughly. So this is the review of Normcore Wares. All right, starting on the far left side over here, we have a wedge distributor. And I don't know if I've ever seen a wedge distributor for Breville machines. If they already existed, I'm sure they probably do. I apologize, but this is the first one that I've seen, and it's the first one definitely that I've had in the studio. It's a relatively simple product. It is a wedge distributor. It works well. I'll really comment more on the machining, which is similar across all their products, but it's really quite good. There's no plastic. It is an all metal construction. The threads feel actually quite good. They're not rough or gritty in any way. And there's actually little markings on the side of the wedge here. I'll show a close up so that if you are switching between baskets or doses, you can get it straight back to the same spot every time. I don't think most people really do that all that often, but if it's any takeaway, it also makes it look a little bit cooler. My one complaint with the wedge distributor and the tamper is the tolerance between them and the bases that they come in. Once you slot it in, there's quite a bit of slosh. And I don't know if that's on purpose, but it just makes it feel a little bit odd when you put it in and then it kind of rattles around on its own base. That might be a little bit overly picky of me, but it's just something that I noticed. I should also note that both the wedge distributor and the tamper are exact 53.3 precision tampers, so they're not going to leave that awkward ring of untamped space around your puck, which is, as we know, very, very important. So that's the wedge distributor. Not a whole lot to say. It looks nice. It feels solid. If you're in the market for one, I can recommend it. Moving on. We have a spring-loaded tamper. With this tamper, there's a lot more going on than immediately meets the eye. If I grab a more standard spring-loaded tamper from my drawer back here, like this one, if you remember in my comparison video between spring-loaded tampers and palm tampers, one of the main disadvantages of these is that you are not guaranteed a level tamp. You can practice, you can get it perfect, but especially with a spring-loaded tamper, there's a tendency to slosh around a bit. On the Normcore, you have this ring, and it guarantees you to have a level tamp, as you can see there. So within this, there are actually two springs. That first one that handles the compression down to that leveling point, and then a second one that handles the actual pressure that you're going to be applying to your coffee. And this tamper actually comes with 3 different springs. One is installed. You get a 30-pound spring, a 25-pound spring, and a 15-pound spring. I would recommend installing the 15-pound spring. That's just my personal preference. I always lean towards a lighter tamp as opposed to a very overcompressed heavy tamp, but completely up to you. That is in there. Something that is important to note, however, is you are still not going to likely be getting exactly 15, 25, or 30 pounds of pressure, which we know is not a big deal. The more important thing is getting it consistent each and every time. However, you aren't going to be getting that exact pressure unless you fully compress this, which is unlikely. It's likely that either you've slightly underfilled your basket and you're not going to compress that spring all the way, or in a worst case scenario, you will overfill your basket and then you will actually be applying more than the spring rate of pressure because you'll be tamping fully with your full weight because both springs will be fully compressed. So this still isn't a completely accurate way of applying exactly 15, 25, or 30 pounds of pressure. That's not a big deal. What is important is that it is more consistent in all likelihood than what you are currently doing on your own. And it's going to be way more consistent than just your average run-of-the-mill spring tamper. If you're currently using a puck tamper and you're happy with it, I don't see a big reason to upgrade to something like this unless you simply want a more classic looking workflow. But if you're someone who is looking to purchase for the first time, then this is one that I would definitely consider. Next, we come to the WDT Tool. Now, this is kind of a Duomo looking thing, but at a far less expensive price. And I was really excited for this. As you guys know, WDT is extremely important and can have some extremely impressive results. So having something like this for Breville sounded awesome. So you put it on, there's a little ridge in here, and it allows you to spin it around. It doesn't feel as nice as the Duomo because you're simply rotating on the basket itself. There might be some risk of scratching at some point, but I never really got around to that because my bigger issue is that these needles are slightly too thick for what I would like to see in a WDT tool. I think there's the potential for these to cause some channels just due to their thickness. They are definitely doing more of a stirring motion than that slicing through that we were looking about when we talked about WDT earlier. So I can't fully recommend this particular product. I don't think it's the best thing out there. I think going with a manual WDT tool would be best. You don't even have to buy one. If you're in the market, if you want to explore WDT, check out our video explaining the cheapest ways to try WDT. That'll be a big help. But this one, I think, is probably the cheapest feeling thing on this table. These needles are a little bit thick. And then the cleaning brush that is in this base, as you can see, is just not the best. These hairs are kind of falling out everywhere. It's just attached to kind of a cheap piece of, I don't know if that's plastic or some kind of, yeah, I think that's plastic. But then even when you go to insert this into here and clean it, it just doesn't feel all that great. And you're probably gonna get some hairs. Yeah, I've got hairs now stuck in these bristles. So far, out of the Normcore Wares product lineup, if you're looking for a wedge distributor, this one works. If you're looking for a tamper, this is quite possibly one of the better ones currently available for Breville. If you're looking for a WDT, I recommend checking out our cheap WDT. I cannot recommend really this Normcore Wares one. All right, moving on to the other products that they sent. First off, we have a bottomless portafilter. And this was shocking when I took it out of the box, purely due to the weight of it. Let's compare it with some things. Why don't we do that? I've got a scale here after all. So let's turn this on and weigh the Normcore Wares first. 442 grams. So to put that in perspective, let's again reach back. Yeah, let's use this. So this is a spouted, not a bottomless, a spouted full rocket appartamento portafilter. So 442. This is 573. So the rocket, the full-sized spouted rocket portafilter is only 130 grams heavier. If we compare to probably a more reasonable comparison, which is the Crema Coffee products, bottomless, it is wood, which is probably where the weight difference comes from, but just in terms of quality feel, it's 323 grams. So 323 versus 442, over a 100 gram difference. So this thing is hefty in the hand. Obviously, the difference is primarily going to come down to which one you prefer the aesthetics of. Both of them will fit the same baskets. In my experience, they performed about the same. It really comes down to which one you like the look of more, wood or metal. If you do like the metal, boy, does this one feel solid. And then finally, we have the Normcore scale, which is probably the thing I've been using the most because I still really don't have a great espresso scale. So here it is. It's suiting the matte black theme absolutely to a T. However, it actually is silver and black. This is just a heat resistant pad. So I kind of wish that they had gone with black anodized on the load cell itself, but in most cases you're gonna have some kind of heat protection on it anyways. And I've been really enjoying using this scale. When I started using it, it just felt solid, and I was trying to kind of figure out why. Every time you pushed a button, it just felt like a really solid unit. And I realized that in comparison to my Time War, there's a reason for that. So I've got the Time War here, and it is because all the buttons on the Time War are on the top. It's one single plate, so when you go to push a button, it actually compresses the load cell. So you kind of get this kind of spongy feel to it. Whereas on the Normcore, the buttons are on the base, so you can push as hard as you want. There's not going to be any of that give, so it feels higher quality. And the buttons really are nice. They don't take any pressure to push them. It really is a touch screen. You tap them lightly, and it stops. Resetting the timer is also a double tap instead of a hold, which I like. It saves time. One thing that does not save time, and probably my biggest complaint about this scale, is how long it takes to turn off. Let me hold this up here. Ready? That's a good 4 or 5 second push. And again, that might sound nitpicky, but try it on your scale at home inside of your espresso workflow, and that gets annoying real quick. So in my daily routine, I have opted just to let it sit on the counter turned on, and it automatically times out after about 5 minutes and shuts itself off. So that's one complaint. The second complaint with this scale, and probably the bigger one for those looking for an espresso workflow, is that it doesn't have any auto tare or auto timer start functions. So it's not gonna be the best option for espresso from a pure features standpoint, but I think for the price, it's doing pretty well. It comes in at around the same price as the Time War, but as we know, the Time War, due to its thickness, is not exactly a great espresso option. But this is truly a still mid to budget scale offering, and in that price point, it does pretty well. Let's quickly talk about some of the specs on this scale. It does have USB-C. Unfortunately, they put the port right on the back, which if you have a heat exchanger or any type of machine with a 3-way solenoid that might be dumping a lot of moisture into the drip tray, that's right in the danger zone. For any scale manufacturers currently out there, put your ports on the front. It really helps with water resistance. That's something I would have loved to see. On the Time War, it's on the side. Other things. So it also comes with a heat resistant pad. I'm not sure why they decided to include this and this one. I think that the rubber one, the form-fitting one, looks really great. However, I've been using this kind of as my go-to coaster here in the studio, and I think it looks awesome. I kind of just slap it down anywhere. It looks like leather. It's not. I think it's just a kind of PVC type of flexible plastic, but it has a leather print on it, and I've actually had 2 or 3 people comment on it when they came into the studio saying, whoa, nice coaster. So I never thought I would get coaster compliments, but this comes with the scale. The other thing that comes with it that I have never used is a full cover. And it's not gonna fit on with the thermal cover on, and it's actually a bit tough to get on, period. I'm not gonna struggle to get that on. Clearly, I've never put this on. If you want a cover for your scale, great. Maybe if you're traveling or wanna take it with you, that's a good option, but I've never used it. Okay, so I said I was gonna run through specs. I've gotta read them off the box. So this scale, the battery has been really good. I have not charged this since I got it. It came charged. I've been using it for over 3 weeks. So the rechargeable battery in here, capacity is more than good enough. It is accurate to 0.1 grams, which we like. 0.5 is really, in all honesty, fine for coffee, but everyone likes to have 0.1 grams accuracy. It's just a little better for the workflow, confidence inspiring. 20 millimeters thick. So that's the big number when it comes to using it for espresso. The main reason I don't use the Time War is because of its thickness. This one, plenty thin enough to use on really any espresso machine. It actually advertises that 5-minute automatic shutdown. Maybe they know how annoying it is to turn this off. So 5-minute automatic shutdown, a maximum capacity of 2,000 grams, so 2 kilograms. And that's really it, I think. Those are all the key parts of the scale. So again, in the price bracket that it lives in, I think it's a good, solid offering. It's worked really well for me. I use it for espresso pretty much every day. Yes, there are better espresso scales. That kind of sums up this collection of Normcore Wares products. I think it's really exciting. I think that they are bringing quality into what they are doing, and that is good. I think that they have some ways to go. This WDT tool isn't great, and I really would have liked to see some auto functionality within the scale, but maybe in future versions they will include that. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I will obviously leave all of these things linked down in the description below if you want to check them out, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.